Well, the next speaker is the last person I'm going to introduce. And she will in turn introduce the minister. Well, I won't be able to say a quote from the minister then, so I'll say now the one I think of for Minister Jason Kennedy, with whom I've had the great privilege to interact with over many years, is that he would like to achieve his goals. And his goals are our goals, which stands for greater opportunity and living standards. And that's what you work for. Thank you, Mr. Minister. I'd like to take just a minute to say some thank yous myself. I'd like to thank the great audience, very attentive audience, incredible panel, the politicians here, the Coalition of Progressive Muslim Association Canada, Salma and Tahir. I'd like to thank Batu and Yusuf, two administrative assistants aspiring to be lawyers in Ontario, who came from Ottawa with their spouses, Batu and Hussein, my wife Yumna's nephew, my wife Yumna, who I'm pleased took all the train all the way here. So thank you for coming from Ottawa, those who came from Ottawa City. I'd like to thank the Siddiqui family. I go back to 1989 with their father, Osman Siddiqui, who was a great mentor, very knowledgeable. Professor Ziegler, you might remember, was a great Middle Eastern scholar. He said he's never heard anybody more knowledgeable about Islamic history than Osman Siddiqui. And he was saying back then, warning the West in writing about what was happening today. So this goes back a long way. And 10 years ago, the Circle of Canadians, which Nasima was the president, she's here, sister of Selma. Hasbro couldn't make it here today, but 10 years ago at City Hall in Ottawa, they did a conference on preventing radicalization. So this has been going on for a long time. I'm going to introduce Selma and give her the quote I thought of for her. But just before I do, I'm going to tell a very short story, which is a very powerful mathematical metaphor. You may have heard it, but it's a story of an ancient Arab tribe. A sheikh passed away and he left his camels to his 3 sons. 1/2 to his oldest, 1/3 to his middle son, 1/9 to his youngest, but he only had 17 camels in a herd because you can't divide any of that into 17. So they decided to get a mediator, which the great teachers, Jesus, the Prophet Muhammad, were mediators, and they brought a woman mediator from another tribe. I say that with, it's not politically correct. So she came over and listened to their story, said, I'm going to go back to my tribe and I'm going to pray and I'm going to come back tomorrow. So she came back the next day with 1 camel. He said, what are we going to do with 1 camel? She said, well, now you have 18 camels. So the oldest son got his half, which is 9. The middle son got his 1/3, which is 6. The youngest got his 9th, which is 2, which is 17, and she got her camel back. So think about that one. The idea is that everybody can have an 18th camel in every solution. It could be a person, it could be a thought, it could be silence, it could be a panel like this. So for Selma, just spent a long time talking about Selma. She's a great community leader, well respected across the country, but well regarded in Ottawa. She's one of the top 20 entrepreneurs of women of distinction. She initiates some really great things that we'll probably appreciate over time. And the quote I thought of for her was, each culture, this is from a native elder, each culture is like a flower, and one day the world should be a beautiful bouquet. And today we're all learning how to water that bouquet. Thank you very much, Salma.
Wow, being a minority amongst so many men, 1 woman, where are we going? Well, I think it will be, I'll be remiss in mentioning how this all started. I was invited to the opening of the Parliament, this session, by Minister Kenny, and there he was introducing his friend, Sayyid Nabil Abbas, and talking about the Shia issue that they are facing in the world, and I was there. And Minister Kenny very kindly said, work with Salma's group, they do some good work. Maybe you don't remember, but you did say that. So I turned around to this gentleman who I thought I was seeing for the first time. He didn't recognize me, my situation has changed a little bit. And I said to him, I would like to work with you. I'm a Sunni Muslim. We are Canadians. We want to work together. And after that, knowing that I'm not in a position to organize all this, I came to my partner, Tahir. And I said, Tahir, this is what has happened. We must bring everybody at the table. And Tahir said yes. And he ran with it. So please give him a big hand. And wow, what do we see here? What have we achieved? So many different representatives, all sitting for one common cause. I was going to vent because I've gone through some rough time arranging this meeting. Because I've been called, I've been told I'll be put under the bus. We've been told that, we've been taking that. But the fact is, we went with what we thought was right. And thank you all for coming and talking about a common issue. A common issue that we all, as Canadians, face. Not because I was born in Pakistan and I came from Pakistan. I'm here as a Canadian. And I value your work, Minister Kenny, and I have protected you many a times on Sun TV. And the fact of what you brought, we value that. The fact that you talk about the right principles, the value for Canada, and that is what we all have been talking about. Today, I was going to ask you something which Robert Heft basically stopped me from doing. But I want to say the Canadian Coalition of Canadian Progressive Muslims do not take any money, and not any money from even our own government, although I'd like to go after that. But we do not take any money from the foreign governments. And the fact is that this event today is courtesy of Tahir Dora and a little bit of myself. So it's the individuals who are doing this. We've talked a lot about what can happen, and these are experts, and I don't want to talk about engagement. But I would like Mr. Kenny, what are you going to do about the judges? That is where the political correctness comes. That is where we get the beating. That is where when we want to do something, we are told we cannot do anything. The fact that there were people who were against this gathering, because the people who are at the table, could be me as well. The fact is, all of you have made a statement, and I would like to ask you to give us your consent that we can release this collective thought that has gone through. We will distribute it to the panelists and release that to the broader public to tell them what has happened. And I think it is a success. I think it is a success, and I think if we can replicate certain of these gatherings and start taking our message that we all want to work and stop radicalization. No fingers pointed where it is going to, whether it's a mosque organization, or whether it's CPCMO, or whether it's Kamran Bokhari. The fact is, this is poison that we face today, and we all have the responsibility to get up and do something about it. And let's not forget, after today, that we have promised that we'll carry this work. And the coalition would very much like to be a part of your work in any way that you possibly want us to do. So what are we working for is one common goal, that is to make Canada a safe place. And I believe that everybody, whether they're Sunni Muslims, Shia Muslims, doesn't matter who they are, Ahmadis, they're doing some great work themselves. So we all are working for one common cause.